After an impressive 5-game winning streak, Mark Fitzpatrick's Jeopardy run has come to an end after he admitted to being overconfident with his bets. The season 41 fan favorite even called himself a hot mess after coming in third on Friday's episode, but maintained good sportsmanship as he congratulated his impressive opponents. The content manager from Connecticut played against Dew White, a clinical psychologist from Bethesda, Maryland, and On Campbell, a lawyer, originally from Manchester, Vermont. Mark found the first daily double under the 18th century history category. However, he missed it and reduced his score by $1,000, while Mark has been used to getting the lead early in his previous 5 games. He was far behind going into the first break of tonight's game on, was out ahead with $2,000, while Mark and Dot were tied for second with $800, each attempting to gain back some momentum. Mark risked it all on the second daily double, wagering all of his $5,800. He missed it, dropping his score to 0, but made a quick comeback when he also found the third daily double. Mark doubled his score to $5,600 and was now in second, while On maintained his lead with $9,400 heading into Final Jeopardy. Mark had a big hill to climb up as he was in third place with just $4,800. On led the way with $122,200, was in second after accumulating $4,800, while On made a small bet for the last round. He forced to make a big wager and have to be correct about it for any chance of winning the category. Was world political history with host Ken Jennings reading the clue. William Whitelaw and John Payton were also rans in a 1975 leadership vote with this. Victor, who is Margaret Thatcher, was the correct answer, which only On wrote down. Aman's impressive move made him come out on top, winning his first game with $13,700. Doc came in second with a final score of $981, while Mark's score was $4,800. After the game, Mark went online and expressed his frustration with himself, all while keeping a good attitude and praising the other players. It took 6 games, but I finally reverted to my true trivia identity, an overconfident, overthinking hot mess. Congrats to On the win, and also to Do for a strong second, he wrote. Despite the loss, Mark still entertained fans who showed signs of support for his 5-day run, which added $17,200 to his bank account. Congrats to Mark on his very impressive run, and welcome to the talk. Those 5th games in a single tape day are brutal, so nothing but respect and empathy from me. One viewer wrote, by Mark excited he'll return turn for talk. A second wrote. Another pointed out the difficulty of a question Mark got wrong. The waiting to exhale 1,200 question for women authors was super hard. Do people agree that should have been a 2,000 question? Sometimes I turn my sideways on these point allocations for different questions. I'll miss Mark. He was very easy to look at and admire. Equipped. Mark is the first contestant from season 41 who officially qualifies for the highly anticipated Tournament of Champions. Mark Fitzpatrick had been riding high on the success of his 5-game winning streak on Jeopardy. His sharp mind, quick reflexes, and a keen sense of strategy had earned him over $100,000 in prize money, making him one of the season's rising stars. Viewers were captivated by his combination of intellect and quirky personality, and his confident, almost brash wagers made him both a fan favorite and a subject of debate on social media. However, during his 6th game, the confidence that had driven him to victory became his undoing. The rise of a champion. Mark's journey began like that of many other Jeopardy contestants, nervous, excited, and eager to prove himself on one of the most iconic stages in television history. His first game was a close contest, with Mark taking the lead in Final Jeopardy by a narrow margin. He wagered conservatively, and it paid off. After that, his approach to the game evolved by his second and third wins. Mark had established himself as a serious contender. His buzzer speed and ability to master multiple categories made him a formidable opponent. He often went for the high-value clues early on, building a strong foundation and making bold that gave him an edge. His risk-taking paid off, and his winnings grew substantially. The crowd loved him for his daring move and spirited personality. As Mark's confidence grew, so did his wager sizes. On his fourth and fifth games, he doubled down on almost every daily double he encountered. His smile after each correct response only fueled his persona as a charismatic and bold player. If you're going to play Jeopardy, he said in a post-game interview, you've got to play big. No guts, no glory. Cracks in the armor. However, behind the scenes, the pressure of maintaining a winning streak was starting to take its toll on Mark. He had become a fan favorite, and with that came expectations, not just from the audience, but from himself. The comments on social media ranged from praise to criticism, with some viewers calling him cocky for his seemingly reckless wagers. On the set, Mark tried to brush off the nerves, but the stakes of each game were higher, and despite his outward confidence, he began to feel the weight of every decision. The fifth game had been particularly grueling. He nearly escaped defeat thanks to a correct final Jeopardy answer about ancient history. But the tension was palpable. Mark later admitted in an interview, by that point I was starting to crack. I didn't want to show it, but inside, I was a hot mess. The downfall. Game 6. Mark's sixth game started much like the others, with him confidently taking the lead in the first round. The category were in his favor, and he dominated the board early on. The other contestants, although strong, struggled to keep up with his pace. By the time the first commercial break rolled around, Mark had a comfortable lead, but then came the second round and everything changed. Mark encountered his first daily double early in Double Jeopardy. With his signature smile, he wagered a large amount, nearly his entire total, confident he would know the answer. The category was world geography, a subject Mark usually excelled in. However, the clue was more obscure than he expected, and for the first time in his run, Mark hesitated after a few agonizing seconds. He gave an incorrect response, losing a substantial portion of his earnings. The loss rattled him for the rest of the round. Mark's buzzer timing seemed off, and he struggled to regain his momentum. His fellow contestants, sensing his unease, capitalized on his mistakes. By the time the second daily double appeared, Mark was trailing for the first time in days. Despite his dwindling score, Mark made another bold wager, this time a true daily double, betting everything he had left. The category was American presidents, another subject he usually felt comfortable with. But once again, the clue threw him off. His answer was incorrect, and Mark found himself with nothing. The audience was stunned that the reigning champion had just lost it all in a matter of minutes. Mark's face, usually full of bravado, showed signs of panic for the remainder of the game.